The Hill is reporting that President Obama told a London town hall on Sunday that young activists should be realistic and willing to look for common ground with conservatives. So his exact quote is, "You can't just keep on yelling at them. You can't refuse to meet because that might compromise the purity of your position." And then he went on to say, yet again, that people on the left, specifically young activists on the left, should be happy with, quote, "a half loaf." This is now his go-to term that he uses. Half loaf. I get half loafs all over the place. That's what I do. So I cave, I fold, I negotiate, I compromise. I'm so high-minded that I agree with the right wing half the time. And the right wing is crazy, and since I meet them halfway, that would mean that I'm half crazy. But no, you can't say that because high-minded Democrats and liberals and leftists, you always have to run to the right because that's what Washington expects you to do. So the most hilarious part of this, though, is guess what issue he cited to make his case? He goes on to bring up gay marriage. Okay, that would prove our case, not yours. So the reality is that on some issues, yes, you can compromise, and we're all for compromise. Nobody is against compromise in principle in all cases across the board. That would be ridiculous. The furthest left-wing person you can imagine on some issues would be willing to compromise. But then, yeah, on other issues, there should be no compromise. So when it comes to gay marriage, perfect example. Nobody should compromise. Nobody on the left should say, well, maybe we can find the middle ground between the right-wing people who don't believe in gay rights and us who believe in gay rights. Let's give gays like half rights. Maybe we could count them as like half a person. Didn't we do a similar experiment at some other point in history when it came to African Americans? Yeah, sometimes there is no middle ground. So when it comes to things that are your rights, constitutional rights, human rights, there is no caving on that. There is no bending on that. The whole point of it being a right is that it is concrete. It is set in stone. It can't just be taken away at the whim of the government or at the whim of right-wing crazy people. So gay marriage, yeah, the middle ground would have been, I don't know, civil unions. We're not going to call it marriage. You're not allowed to legally call it marriage, but we'll give you like hospital visitation rights, and we'll give you Social Security rights, the same as if you were married. But you're not married because you can't use that word, so civil unions, oh, here's our middle ground, and we found it. No, fuck that. It's gay marriage. It should be marriage. Why? Because it's equal protection under the law. To say they have civil unions and they have and straight couples have marriages, that's like making the argument that it's cool, you're equal, but you're separate. It's just separate things, but you're equal. Again, where did we, at some point in history, I believe we had the separate but equal policy, and eventually everybody came to their senses and realized separate is by definition not equal. If you want it to be equal, just make it equal. Just say, okay, you can get married, gay, straight, whatever. So he cites a case that backs up our point to try to make his point. And then on top of all this, I need everybody to understand the biggest reason why he's wrong here. How does one go about compromising? Well, the answer is by negotiating. And how does one go about negotiating? By making your case, by giving your side of the argument. You don't go in and preemptively make half the case of the other person in the negotiation. You go in and say, here's my position, this is where I stand, and I'm going to argue for this, and I'm going to try to convince you that I'm right. Now, if Obama did that, I wouldn't have an issue with him. And then eventually he compromises, but he starts with the true liberal position. But what Obama does, and what he's done throughout his entire time in office, is he preemptively concedes and negotiates with himself and already meets the Republicans halfway right off the bat. So the perfect example is healthcare. Obama did not argue at all for a single-payer Medicare for all system. He just didn't. He said, that's not my position. Well, what the fuck? You're a Democratic president. That's supposed to be the standard Democratic liberal position on healthcare. Medicare for all, single payer. He's like, nope, I will preemptively concede and agree with the right already 50%. So his starting position was public option. And then after the right said, how about we do nothing and you fuck off, he said, okay, I'll cave even more. And now I'm going to propose the bill and the plan that was your guy's old plan. So it was Richard Nixon's old plan, the individual mandate system. It was Mitt Romney's old plan. In the 1990s, Newt Gingrich and Chuck Grassley and other Republicans supported it. The Heritage Foundation, which is a right-wing think tank, wrote policy papers saying the individual mandate system is the answer to the Democrats proposing single payer. That, oh, no, this is the right way to go because it keeps the private health insurance system intact. And that's what they want. They want capitalism and the profit motive to still be a part of the health insurance system. So Obama ended with just their position because he preemptively conceded. So it's not even like we're against you compromising. It's that you don't know how to compromise. You don't know how to negotiate because you preemptively concede, which means that now the middle ground is just the right wing. Whereas if you came in and made our case from the beginning, single payer, well, then the compromise in the middle ground may have been a public option. And then we would have a better system. And by the way, at the time we had a supermajority, and there were some Democrats who were there that said, by the way, we actually have the votes for single payer if we wanted to do it. But again, they just didn't fight for it. So maybe he just doesn't believe in the same things that we believe in. I think that's the main point here, is that Obama at his core is more of a Hillary Clinton or a Bill Clinton than a Bernie Sanders. It just is what it is. And that's not to say that, he's just as bad as fucking Ted Cruz. Of course not. Obviously, he's better than those people. But as far as holding true to liberal positions and progressive positions, he ain't no Bernie Sanders. He ain't no Alan Grayson. He ain't no Elizabeth Warren. That's for damn sure. And it's funny how he always finds the time to lecture the left about being, high-minded and, let's negotiate and let's hold hands with the right. But meanwhile, the only people who are unwilling to negotiate at all are the right-wingers, because they've literally broken the filibuster record under Obama. So you're lecturing the wrong people. You're lecturing the people who have been more open-minded from the beginning. But the people who broke the filibuster record against you and tried to repeal your healthcare law, which again was originally a right-wing healthcare plan, they tried to repeal that over 60 times. So they won't even fill vacant court seats that have been vacant for years because they say, we just are not going to approve anybody under this president, so fuck off. So you have these people who are totally insane and totally obstructionist and absolute lunatics. And what does he do? After he concedes a million times over and the Democrats concede a million times over, he still goes to the Democrats and goes to the liberals and says, you guys need to compromise more. Well, what the fuck? If they keep compromising and the other side's not compromising, why are you not only lecturing the other side? Wouldn't they be the problem here? But again, this is the new corporatist Democratic Party. You always smugly and condescendingly look down on liberals and progressives and people who actually want to implement smart policies. And you always run into the arms of the people who hate you on the right, because that supposedly makes you like an adult. No, it doesn't make you like an adult in the real world. It makes you a little bitch. And it makes you somebody who, like I said at the beginning here, if the Republicans are crazy, and they are, and you want to meet them halfway, well, that would mean that you are proudly, in the case of Obama, half crazy. Congratulations.